President Xi's visit and China's impact on the continent did not go unnoticed. Thousands of kilometers away in the U.S. state of New Mexico, dozens of U.S. governors gathered there for a summer summit. Also in attendance, a delegation from Kenya. I had a chance to talk to one of the governors, the governor of Kisumu County, Anyang Nyong'o. We began our discussion by talking about China and infrastructure projects on the continent.
There's always been a need for improving infrastructure in Africa. But the discussions between African governments and Western partners have taken too long to take effect. For example, World Bank finance projects in infrastructure sometimes take too long to negotiate and to implement. The Chinese tend to be much faster.
I heard one of the governors complaining about how it seems like China has a foothold on the African continent. Talk to me about that. How does Africa balance the relationship with China and the United States, or is that even a matter of concern?
Well, I think that the excitement about China is two ways. One, because it's a new kind of superpower, the African continent, when it comes to economic activities. But two, in terms of the fact that there are people who have been trading with us, having economic relations with us from the West, who have been kind of too relaxed, too laid back. And I think they're being woken up by the active and rather aggressive entry of China into Africa. I think for me, and I've been to China several times, for me the most important thing is for Sino-African relations, trade and commerce, to again obey certain rules of the game in international trade. One of the things that is of concern to many people is, okay, we are getting a lot of Chinese investments and activities in the infrastructure area. At what cost? Under what terms? And with what quality of service? I think those are the questions we should ask. Rather than getting too afraid or excited, or perhaps fearing China's entry into Africa, is for this to be done in a way that is mutually beneficial to both African countries and to China. If somebody is just waiting to make a move only after China has made a move, well, it may be too late.
President Xi's visit, what do you make of it? As I said, he's been going quite a few times. Premier Li Keqiang as well. Does it just show again the commitment to trying to work there in Africa?
I think there are two things that President Xi may be looking at. One, to what extent are the relationship China has so far made with Africa durable? And two, to what extent are some of the questions and issues being raised valid or worthwhile? And three, what are certain areas of investment, economic activities that China should be interested in, which China has not been exploiting so far?
Let me ask you about the trade war that's underway. The United States with China, with the European Union. There's conflict between Mexico and Canada. Does any of that have a spillover effect in Kenya, or are you just watching it? And what are your thoughts on it?
It does, insofar as the idea of trade wars is an international issue. I think, as somebody yesterday, one of the governors made it very strong yesterday, that really it's kind of outdated to have exclusion in terms of trade internationally. I think having a much more open attitude towards international trade, free flow of goods and services, is much better than engaging in some kind of protectionism.